everyone, how are we going? Welcome to Secrets of the Soul, Inspirational Women Living with Purpose. We have Rose here today joining us. Hi Rose.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank
Hi
you.
Rose.
We just wanted to find out firstly, who are you, and just tell us a little bit about yourself and like what you do and how you inspire women and everything like that.
Well, I'm someone that's recently changed careers, and definitely someone that lacked confidence to get that process started in the beginning. I started off as a high school teacher, and I ended up deciding that I really wanted to get into more spirituality and really wanted to get back to my creative self. So I ended up completely changing path and went and restudied. So that's been a process that's been happening in the last 3 or 4 years. And now I'm the editor of Teen Breathe magazine.
Amazing.
Wow.
And so, yeah, it's been a really interesting time.
That's awesome.
Perfect. That's cool. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Rose, can you tell us what your daily practices are and what grounds you as a person?
Yeah. I pretty much feel a lot better if I'm practicing yoga once or twice a day. I became a yoga teacher for that reason, because I realized that it would really push me to create a much wider daily practice. And it did. It really helped. I also did a meditation course, and so I meditate every morning before my yoga practice. I go for a walk in the morning to get moving. And I've also recently done some coaching to try and help me feel a little bit better in the mornings in general. Because mornings have not always been my strong point, and started to shift my attitudes.
Awesome. Is there things, so you're more of a night owl, did you say? Yeah. Do you do things at nighttime to like relax or anything like that?
Yeah, I had to really stop working so much at night. So I used to do all of my best work at night, but that was, again, a mindset thing. So now I have to really cut that out. Stop working early in the evening, and then start taking teas, cut out caffeine, and reading at night, trying to switch devices off a lot earlier.
Yeah, it really does help, hey?
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, definitely. What women inspire you? Who inspires you as a person, personally, professionally? Do you have any like women that really sort of have inspired you over your life?
Oh, I've got so many female role models. It's hard to list them all off. I stumbled upon an amazing role model when I was living back in Perth before I made the change out of teaching into a creative industry. She was the wife of my yoga teacher, actually. And she had such a grounded way of life. She didn't try and do too much, and she would give me books to read. She didn't try and overly give me advice. It was just in her gentle nature, she kind of inspired me. So yeah, that was really nice, actually. Not being told what to do, which is something that I had from my Italian family, was, being told what to do all the time. It didn't really work for me. So meeting a mentor like that had a much softer approach was really quite valuable, really beautiful.
That's awesome.
Since I moved over here, I've connected with some really strong yoga teachers and mentors who are more in the public sphere. So people that are really go-getters and creating apps for girls.
Wow.
Yeah, like some really amazing people that I've met over in New South Wales since I made the move.
Yeah.
That's good. Amazing.
That's awesome. Would you be able to share one of your creative pieces with us? Something that you're really, really proud of?
I actually got the opportunity to write this article for one of the first magazines I put together for Teen Breathe. So this is a girls magazine, and it's not specifically for girls, but it is marketed definitely more towards girls. And it's all about meditation, mindfulness, positivity, just getting back to yourself. And I got to write an article in here called Finding Creative Flow. And it was really enjoyable being able to write about my experience of when was the first time that I really wanted to be a writer at a very young age, and how it brought me on this crazy journey, and going to my first yoga class as well. So I don't know if you want me to read out part of it or.
Yeah, maybe just read out a part that you really like.
Okay. I've wanted to be a writer ever since I was a little girl. Busy creating storybooks for my family as soon as I learned to read and write. Illustrating my own cover designs, watercolour pencils, making little homemade birthday cards. Colours, ideas, textures and words, anything creative and colourful brought me to life. For those first glorious years of primary school, I was known as the creative kid. And I won't lie, I loved having an identity. I felt different, unique. Of course, other kids had their sports, chess, video games, and rock climbing, but this was my thing and I was proud of it. So this is not the most amazing piece I've ever written, but because it's written for a teenage audience, it was really nice to be able to shape something that was a little bit more accessible for young people.
Yeah, and it was good to like share a part of you and how you became who you are today, which is really nice. Thank you for sharing that.
What would be one of your favorite yoga positions that you practice, or something that you could either show us or just explain?
Yeah, what is your favorite?
Favorite yoga position?
Yeah.
Probably a Baddha Konasana, so butterfly pose.
Yeah.
My daggy little comfy outfit right now, so placing the soles of the feet together. It's a really easy one to be able to demonstrate and just sort of going over and
amazing
myself in it. I'm actually not really a yogi that does a lot of flow movement. I'm not a vinyasa flow teacher. I'm more towards Iyengar and Hatha style, which is about holding the pose for a while and just falling deeply into that pose. So I could happily spend 5-10 minutes just sitting in that pose, a little bit like doing it.
That's nice. I definitely love yoga. I did prenatal yoga like with Ava, like my whole pregnancy, and I feel like it helped me so much with birthing her. So it's definitely good practice. So I know that you've traveled a lot. What is your favorite place?
Okay. I would say that the most life-changing place that I went to was Guatemala in Central America. Latin America had a massive impact on me in general. It was so different to being in Europe, surrounded by cities and culture. It was such a grounding experience because the people embraced you with a friendliness and a warmth and a sense of family that I've never experienced before. They didn't care who I was. They didn't care how much money I had. They didn't want to steal from me. They didn't have an agenda. They just wanted to touch my hand or hug me, or they wanted to invite me into their family. Such a beautiful experience.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
It was really beautiful. We went to a place called Lake Ashleigh in Guatemala, and it's surrounded by all these volcanoes. And a place called San Marcos is meant to be a spiritual center. We'd heard that it was a spiritual center before we went. And when we got there, we could literally feel the spirituality. We could feel the energy of these volcanoes and mountains surrounding us.
Wow. That's pretty powerful.
Yeah, very powerful. Yeah. We did some ceremonies and lived a very simple life while we were there. And
how long did you live there for?
I wasn't living there, just traveling through, but I was probably in Guatemala for about 3 or 4 weeks. Yeah. And in Adelaide, probably a week of that.
Awesome.
It's nice to have such a beautiful experience, even though you're only there like a short amount of time.
Yeah.
You know, I think they're the things that you remember the most, like the short little, that really took a piece of me, you know. That's beautiful,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'll never forget that experience.
How long have you traveled for, Rose?
I travelled for a year in 2015. I did most of Latin America in that year, and I also went to Europe and a bit of US in that year as well. Apart from that, I did 3 months and another 3 months in total. So the larger trips probably come to about a year and a half in total.
Wow. That would have really brought you to simple living and having not a lot of things. And yeah, that's good. A lot of life lessons there.
Before I left for that trip, actually, I had a leather jacket that cost $400 stolen.
Wow. Yeah.
And I remember crying my eyes out about losing an amazing possession. And I could not believe, after I started traveling, I reflected on that incident of having this leather jacket stolen and realized, what was I so upset about? It was just a material possession. It didn't mean anything once I was on the road. And in fact, the longer I was on the road, the more I had to keep getting rid of things. I couldn't keep carrying these things around, and became a bit of a metaphor for my mental state as well. Just had to
so you're really learning like non-attachment, not identifying with these materialistic things. Wow.
It reminds me of you know how the snakes like shed their skin and stuff. That's like sort of what it reminds me of. You know, you kind of like you finish that chapter and then you sort of get rid of things, and then that's it.
When I got back to Australia, I started accumulating things again, and I realized the patterns that were happening. And as I started accumulating, I'd start getting stressed again. And that was like I've got to just keep on stripping back. Even the house that we live in here, it's a really simple, 1.5 bedroom place. It's just the tiniest little thing. Yep. Most of the things that I love are just sitting on this front porch. All I do is the yoga mat and my pillows, and I work every day on this day bed. I don't need to have any more space than that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Rose, if you had a message for all women, what would it be? Like, what would you tell them?
Oh, please stop comparing yourself to everyone else. It's been the challenge that I've had my entire life. I've felt so pressured to be as good as my mum, or as good as my sister-in-law, or as good as the teachers that I was working with. And I couldn't be all these things. And the more that I compared myself, the worse things got. Looks started with looks, but I realized that it came in all areas. I used to have, so this is my real hair, and for my whole life I've straightened my hair, and I've only started wearing my hair curly in the last year or so.
Yeah. And it's beautiful. You need to embrace the curly. I've always wanted curly hair, so it's wonderful.
Not quite curly, but it's curly. But yeah, you have nice curls. It's gorgeous.
Oh, well, I never embraced it because I was too busy looking at all the fashion magazines. I guess that's why I love the magazine that I work for now, because it's all about embracing your beauty, your natural beauty, and not trying to look up to anyone else for that. So
gorgeous.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Well, thanks so much for joining us today and sharing a bit about your life. I really appreciate you taking the time out and inspiring others.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you for having me. You two
are
inspirational women yourselves, so I feel very blessed.
Oh, thank you.
Did you have any questions for us, or anything you wanted to ask?
To add, or
well, I'd love to know what got you guys inspired to start this off.
So it's a bit of a personal story of why it is what it is, but basically, I don't know about Ashleigh, but we're both on a healing path right now ourselves, and I've been doing a lot of like deep trauma work, and something that arose from my childhood. I kept a secret for a really long time, and I felt like I couldn't express that. And so when I met Ashleigh, we really hit it off, and the universe kept putting us together in these situations, and would have all these wonderful conversations about what we want to give to the world and what is our purpose. And we understood that it was helping other women and sharing our stories and stuff like that, which is also so back to the secret I had to keep. It was actually locked away in my subconscious, and I didn't realize it was there until about 5 years ago. So that's why we wanted to create Secrets of the Soul. And it's just about bringing women together and holding them and allowing them to feel safe and to feel connected and be able to explore these aspects of themselves with us.
And
But
the same as well, like acceptance and, you know, accepting each other for who you are and not comparing to each other, and just, you know, being you and bringing your inner self and understanding, you know, other people's experiences and just helping each other through it, rather than, you know, not like positively bringing everyone together, not, you know, pulling each other apart and things. You know, we just want to create that positive environment so people can open up. And we're doing a few different things like women's circles, which we want to do in person, but we're doing it online just for people who are at home and, you know, feeling a little bit down at the moment. And that's what really pushed us, this whole lockdown and the, you know, what's happening in the world. We just kind of wanted to make a difference and add some positivity out there and really get people moving.
And also, like with this video series, we wanted to video interview women that are living with their purpose, that are actually out there, and we want to put that out there for people, for women to feel inspired and live their truth. So this is why we created it.
And you inspire us and we inspire you, and then it's like a chain reaction, and all these wonderful people we get to talk to have all been from, you know, word of mouth, from people's friends or people's experiences. And it's just nice to be able to connect with people that are in the same frame of mind, in the same, you know, not necessarily the same point in their life, but to go like heading towards that and becoming, you know, your best self.
Yeah, exactly. It's amazing how becoming conscious, those slow steps to becoming conscious becomes a chain reaction, doesn't it? And
100%.
Dominoes.
What you're saying about how you had something going on in your subconscious that you didn't even know about until 5 years ago. That's incredible. And I was a bit the same too. You know, I kept ignoring the signs that I needed to make the change and embrace who I was. And the world was screaming at me, and you know, things started to fall apart, and in the falling apart is where I actually grew the most. So
and you learn more about yourself when you fall apart, and then when you build yourself back up, you think, far out, I'm never going to become that person. I'm never going to be that person again. I'm just shedding my skin, taking off all the materialistic things, and just being one and being whole and being yourself, and that's all that matters, and not worrying about what everyone thinks and what everyone feels about you, or doesn't matter. Like, all that matters is what you believe and everything like that. So
absolutely. This is a valuable resource for women.
We definitely want to get the word out, and it only takes, you know, something like this to start it all. So
and I feel like a lot of women are actually suffering in silence, and aren't even like, there's resources out there for these women, but I just feel that, I don't know, it takes a lot of oomph, like that inner strength. And I feel like that's another reason why we created this, is that I don't want people to feel alone anymore. Like,
if you're hanging out with a bunch of women who also don't want to open their mouth and say anything different, or all they talk about is what outfit are you wearing to the party on Saturday, or oh, I wish I had eyelashes like you, you know, like that's the kind of conversations that you're hearing from a lot of girls in their 20s at the moment.
100%.
Even at
everything being closed at the moment, like, is just really like making people realize, you know, like, you know, all of the things that we're not accessing. We can't go to the shops and get retail therapy. We can't go to the beautician and feel amazing. We can't go and get a massage, you know. We can't do those things that people would have an outlet for. That's like a mental thing for them. Like, I know if I was ever feeling down, I'd just go to the shops and spend money on clothes or whatever else, you know. But we can't do those things. So it's like,
it makes you really look at your life.
You really have to
during this time.
Self-acceptance and everything.
It can be seen as devastating, but it can be a great blessing.
That's right. Well, thank you, Rose, for joining us. Appreciate the time that you've taken for us.
Thank you for having me. I love talking to you guys.
No worries.
Thank you.